When people imagine global power struggles, they usually picture tanks rolling, fighter jets flying, and warships clashing at sea. But what if I told you that one of the smartest victories in modern geopolitics didn't require a single bullet? The Philippines, a nation of over 7,000 islands, has been facing immense pressure from its giant neighbor, China. With Beijing's growing military might and its aggressive push in the South China Sea, many expected Manila to cave in. But instead, the Philippines played a different game. A silent power move that outsmarted China without ever starting a war. Today, we're counting down the top 10 ways the Philippines outsmarted China without firing a shot. Number 10. Playing the underdog card. On paper, the Philippines looks weak compared to China. Beijing has the world's largest navy, a massive economy, and nuclear weapons. Meanwhile, the Philippines has a small military and limited resources. But here's the trick, the Philippines embraced its underdog status. Every time China acted aggressively, it looked like a superpower bullying a smaller neighbor. This created international sympathy for Manila, and sympathy is a powerful tool in diplomacy. The underdog narrative resonates deeply with the international community. Think about it, people naturally root for David against Goliath. The Philippines didn't need to win in terms of power projection, it only needed to show restraint, highlight China's bullying, and let global opinion do the rest. Fishermen chased out of traditional fishing grounds, small wooden boats blocked by giant steel Coast Guard ships. These images hit hard in international media. They reminded the world that China wasn't just challenging governments, it was intimidating ordinary people trying to make a living. By embracing its vulnerability and publicizing it smartly, the Philippines flipped weakness into strength. Instead of being a silent victim, it became a powerful symbol of resistance, making it impossible for bigger nations to ignore its plight. Number 9. The Hague ruling, a legal masterstroke. In 2016, the Philippines shocked the world when it scored a landmark victory at the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague. The tribunal ruled overwhelmingly in Manila's favor, rejecting China's sweeping 9-line claim over almost the entire South China Sea. This was not just a symbolic win, it was a legal earthquake. For the first time, an international court told China, "Your claims have no basis in law." And while China dismissed the ruling as just a piece of paper, the Philippines knew better. That piece of paper was a permanent weapon. Here's why. Once a legal precedent is established, it doesn't go away. Manila now had international law on its side. Every time China flexes its muscles, the Philippines doesn't have to argue alone. It can simply point back to the ruling and say, "We already won in court, and the world knows it." This gave Manila credibility in global forums, from ASEAN meetings to UN sessions. It turned a small country's voice into something much louder because it was backed by the weight of international law. And here's the genius part. The ruling didn't just benefit the Philippines. Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Indonesia, all of whom also faced Chinese claims, suddenly had legal cover too. By going to court, the Philippines didn't just defend itself, it quietly became the legal champion for the entire region. In short, Manila's Hague victory was the classic David move, throwing a single stone that forever weakened Goliath's claim to dominance. Number 8. Building alliances like a chess master. Instead of trying to face China alone, the Philippines activated one of its strongest cards, alliances. For decades, Manila had a mutual defense treaty with the United States, but under recent administrations, that alliance has been revitalized. The Philippines gave American forces greater access to military bases across Luzon and Palawan, strategic locations that sit right next to the South China Sea. This wasn't just about hosting U.S. troops, it was about creating deterrence. Suddenly, an attack on the Philippines risked triggering a confrontation with the most powerful military in the world. And it didn't stop with Washington. Japan began providing Coast Guard vessels and radar systems, while also joining joint naval drills. Australia stepped in with training and patrol missions. Even South Korea and India supplied defense technology and ships. Perhaps most surprising was Vietnam. Despite their own historical disputes with Manila, both countries realized they had a common interest, stopping Chinese expansion. Quietly, informal coordination between Hanoi and Manila started to emerge. The Philippines didn't try to be stronger than China, it made sure it was never alone. Like a chess master surrounding a powerful queen with multiple supporting pieces, Manila used alliances to neutralize Beijing's overwhelming advantage. In geopolitics, standing alone is dangerous, but standing in a circle of allies, that's survival. Number 7. The economic counterplay. China believed money would be its most powerful weapon. Through trade deals, infrastructure loans, and promises of investment, Beijing tried to pull the Philippines into its orbit. At first glance, it seemed like a winning strategy. China is one of the Philippines' top trading partners, and the Belt and Road Initiative dangled billions in potential projects. Many thought Manila would simply bend to Beijing's economic pressure. But here's the silent counterstrike: the Philippines diversified. Instead of depending on Chinese capital, it built stronger ties with Japan, which became its largest source of development aid and infrastructure funding. South Korea stepped in with technology and construction projects. The United States continued to be a massive market for Philippine exports, while Europe expanded trade relations. Even India joined the picture, selling BrahMos supersonic missiles and offering partnerships in IT and defense. This diversification meant that Beijing couldn't simply turn off the tap and cripple Manila. If China restricted trade, others were ready to step in. If Chinese investors pulled out, Japanese and South Korean companies filled the gap. In short, the Philippines took away China's favorite weapon: economic leverage. By refusing to put all its eggs in one basket, Manila ensured that no single country, not even Beijing, could control its destiny. Number 6. The power of soft power. Unlike China's often aggressive and authoritarian image, the Philippines cultivated soft power. Its large overseas workforce earned goodwill in dozens of countries. Its English-speaking population made it a natural partner for global businesses. Its democratic system gave it moral high ground in a world wary of China's authoritarianism. Soft power may be invisible, but it shapes how nations are perceived. And the Philippines positioned itself as a peace-seeking democracy standing up to a bully. Number 5. Military modernization without an arms race. The Philippines didn't try to outbuild China's navy; it would be impossible. Instead, it focused on asymmetric defense. It invested in coastal missile systems, radars, drones, and fast attack craft. It deepened security cooperation with allies, ensuring access to advanced technologies without bankrupting its economy. Most importantly, by welcoming U.S. rotational forces and equipment, the Philippines plugged into the most powerful military in the world without having to maintain it itself. China couldn't claim the Philippines was preparing for war, but it also couldn't ignore that Manila was becoming far harder to intimidate. China couldn't claim the Philippines was preparing for war, but it also couldn't ignore that Manila was becoming far harder to intimidate. Number 4. Winning the information war. In today's world, battles aren't just fought with weapons, they're fought with narratives. And here, the Philippines struck gold. Every time China harassed Filipino fishermen or blocked resupply missions, the government released footage and images to the global press. These went viral, painting China as the aggressor. By shining a spotlight on Beijing's actions, Manila ensured that every act of Chinese intimidation carried a heavy diplomatic cost. Exposure became a shield, and silence became a weapon. Number 3. ASEAN and regional diplomacy. The Philippines leveraged its role in ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, to rally support. Though ASEAN members often struggled to agree on tough issues, Manila used its leadership moments to keep the South China Sea disputes on the agenda. This meant that China's actions weren't just a Philippines versus China issue, they became a China versus Southeast Asia problem. By turning bilateral disputes into multilateral issues, the Philippines widened the battlefield and gained new allies. Number 2. Strategic patience in the long game. China thrives on overwhelming opponents quickly, but the Philippines played the opposite game: strategic patience. Instead of reacting with aggression, it responded with calm, measured diplomacy. Instead of escalating confrontations, it waited, exposed, and documented. Over time, this patience has paid off. Beijing's actions look increasingly desperate, while the Philippines looks composed, resilient, and justified. Sometimes, not reacting is the most powerful reaction. Number 1. Turning China's strength into a weakness. And finally, the number 1 way the Philippines outsmarted China: it turned Beijing's greatest strength into its biggest weakness. China's size and power should have made it untouchable. But in this case, it backfired. Every time a Chinese warship blocks a tiny Filipino boat, every time a superpower bullies a small neighbor, it damages China's reputation. The Philippines knew it couldn't outgun China, but it also knew that Beijing couldn't stop itself from overplaying its hand. And by letting China expose itself, Manila won without firing a shot. And by letting China expose itself, Manila won without firing a shot. So what do we learn from all this? That in geopolitics, brains often beat brawn. The Philippines didn't rely on weapons, but on law, diplomacy, alliances, soft power, and patience. And by doing so, it pulled off one of the most remarkable silent power moves in modern history. The South China Sea will remain one of the most contested regions in the world. But the Philippines has already shown that even the smallest nations can stand up to giants without ever lighting the fuse of war. So what do you think? Will this strategy hold, or will China escalate further? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this countdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into global politics. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.